What up, people? Waiting on our two guests. No, I don't hear any English. Doesn't matter. Oh, well, now there's two. Anyways, how y'all doing? Just waiting on our two guests, helping them connect through. Well, one of them. There we go. And then, Dad, whenever you're ready.
Good to go.
Well,
let's put this down. If I can use my earpods, but I don't see that happening.
So, if you can hear me in the settings, you sometimes have to change it and tell it to use your Bluetooth device.
Yeah, I may have to, but I'm good. I can talk. We're good. I have my headphones, but there's really no unique place to put this new adaptation that I have, so that we're good. I like the IBA.
Thanks. A few of the people
are we going? Are we live?
We are.
Okay. Well, hey.
Rushing around and stuff.
There you go. Tastes great, less filling.
Lady kind of took a little bit longer than she should have to cook my food, but it's all good. Still good.
Alrighty. So, what are we talking about today?
I was going to finish, I would like to finish up a little segment that Mr. Andre, your son, and I started a while back, starting with you and my father. We're just we were kind of talking about military fathers and sons, and that can definitely go to mothers and daughters as well. But Andre and I are both sons, not daughters.
There you go.
So
it's best to talk about what you know.
Yes, yeah. Mr. Scorpio is Andre's father.
So, for me, my background is a little bit. I did Navy for a couple of years, Navy, and then I switched over to the Army. Did a little PSYOP stuff, infantry, OCS, chemical, military intelligence, and counterintelligence to wrap it up. And so, it's been around the ball, 26 years, 27 years, 10 months, and 15 days. Not that I was counting. But it was a good experience. I had the opportunity to go to my officer basic course, and it wasn't Mustang officer, but basic course, captain's career course, but combined armed services staff college, and then then commanding your staff college, and it was a good experience. Learned a lot. I learned about people a little bit. Hello, sir. How you doing?
Hi. How are you?
I'm always well.
So, well, I'm gonna mute it real quick so they don't hear your son's actual name while I tell my dad.
Okay, no worries.
Great.
Alrighty. Yeah, Mr. Scorpio was just telling a little bit about his military background. And I had explained to him that Andre and I had started a while back kind of talking about fathers being, or kind of more so on our side, our opinion of our fathers being in the military, and then and us kind of continuing that. And then we want to have you two on, so I figured today would be a perfect day to start since you and Mom are in town, and I got Mr. Scorpio here with us.
Okay.
So I guess, as soon as he's done, if you want to mind sharing a little bit of your military background, just a little bit.
Okay.
Sure, go ahead. I put a little bit out there. I did almost 20. I did 27 years, 10 months, and 15 days, and it was an interesting experience. Went from the Navy to the Army, and it was big transition, a good transition. Worked some time with the Marine Corps overseas in Afghanistan, and different organization has a different set of priorities. But the good thing is that in the end, it's all about winning, and it's all about each one has its own personality to be successful with it is tasked to do. So I turn the floor over.
Okay.
So good evening. My name is Larry G. Bailey. I'm a
You're not
former
supposed to tell your name.
Command Master Chief Submarine Community.
Okay.
Retired after 30 years, 22 years in submarines. Great experience. I initially went into the military based on some reference from my cousins who taught me into going, and I felt that it was a good career move. Today, I always look at families that have their children follow in their footsteps, and I think that's a good thing. I think that America provides our young people with the basic fundamentals to do great things, and also gives them choice. And so when they decide that following their parents' footsteps into the military, I think it's a good thing. It's a great thing. And they don't necessarily have to follow the same service. Okay, they can go choose their own direction, their own career. And a lot of times that helps them to survive and to go well. I think that as far as integration of military women into the military, I think that we are a step behind other foreign militaries because they've always had females in service. But I think the Navy and the military in general is really catching up in that particular area. And I think that, such as females going into submarines, I think that females hold their own in certain positions they choose to go into. And I think that in some cases, submarines, for instance, I think that everything you can imagine probably would happen with a new recruit in subs, good, bad, and ugly. But overall, I think it would be a good career choice, and I think it'd be good for America, making our military that more viable as as we stand up to other militaries. I often tell a story about during my 22 years in the service coming across. We used to have a exchange program with the Russian Navy. They visit us, we visit them. Once upon one of our destroyers, there was an admiral touring, Russian admiral touring, and he went into control. And they're in control. Everybody popped tall, giving his due courtesies. And there was a young female, second class, squared away, confident look on her face. And the old admiral sort of put his hand to his chest a little bit as if he was going to faint. And he said, "What's wrong, Admiral?" And he said, "Oh, I'm okay." And you see, the admiral, I think he was surprised that a young female had that much responsibility of a power control system with two underlings working under her. I think in his Navy, 2 or 3 officers did that same job. So therefore, I think he was taken aback a little bit.
This was the Russian admiral or the American?
Russian admiral.
Mm.
Russian admiral, yeah. We had exchange program. They visit our ships, we visit their ships.
Yeah,
And
I guess
so-
that's what we do that back.
Yeah. And we
Go
said,
ahead,
Admiral, yeah, I'm okay. But you see, Admiral, the old Admiral, I think deep in his heart, he had just seen the eye of the tiger, okay? And I think that he knew deep in his heart that if push came to shove, our military would eat their lunch. That's where I definitely feel, because we take, junior personnel in the military, we train them, give them responsibility. When they step on their toes, we bring them back in, and set them straight, and then send them back out. Responsibility. And we've all done that in the military, and I think that's great. And I think we continue to do that, and that's based on the individuals that that America produces, young men and women that come into the military. And I think that they're excellent, do a wonderful job, and I think that's why our military in general is so great, based on that.
And that's what's been happening. The last 4 years, they've had trouble with recruitment because sometimes the policies tend to either whether they go to the left or to the right, but if you go too far either way, it tends not to draw the best out of America. And
Hmm.
yeah, 'cause like we have, me and my wife, we have 7 kids and 4 of them served. We got one Marine, or you got to have one Marine, and then you got
Hmm.
three Army, and I was Army. And actually, my father served, lost an uncle in Vietnam, and so there's a family tradition. And then the thing is that I may be upset with the government, but I would never burn my flag, because a flag means more
Yeah,
than just a person sitting in the office. Um,
right.
and that's what happens when you don't have that patriotic feeling, is that now you have all these people who you can protest without burning your flag. You can
Hmm.
make a something similar to what the person looks like, and burn them in effigy, whatever
Yeah,
you want to do. But the flag is still going to be there. And that's why I really get upset when I not upset, I get disappointed when they don't
yeah, yeah,
understand that. What were you gonna say?
yeah. I was going to
Yeah.
agree with that. Yeah, yeah. I think they just don't understand.
Well, and I think, and we are just kind of, kicking it around with me and Andre, just kind of looking at what's happening, especially when you have the influx of all these unique people, who they call undocumented, who come in and don't understand the cost, of what they see. Why don't you see cops? Some may be corrupt, but you don't see them just where they have a traffic stop where they're either extracting money or being abusive of the people. Why don't you see that
Hmm.
here? Even though it used to be that way in the American apartheid system back in the 40s or the 50s or the 60s when it ended, but now that's not what we do. Everyone has the right to move typically without being harassed by the government. So it'll be interesting, because I'm right now. I've been very fortunate with the government being able to sponsor some of my education, to be able to and then expand my knowledge. And
Okay.
the VA sometimes can be a very challenging organization to have to try to muscle through to get the things that we need to be successful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've dealt with the VA numerous times. Individuals come and talk to me about different things, and I just tell them that their approach has to be steadfast toward the VA and what they're trying to accomplish. If it's disability or whatever, sometimes you're gonna get a no, and you have to go back and research, look at why you got that no, and reapply for your due rights. And
And that's I had the discussion today with a VA representative, and it's like what I don't like, and that's kind of my thing with is that post your policies and your regulations on the web so we can look at it, because we live by that. So you say, "Oh, here's the VRNE rig." Okay,
Mhm.
they'll tell me here's pieces of it when you feel convenient after telling me no. You let me know
Right.
ahead of time, because then it's not your opinion. It's not that, hey, today my cat peed in the car, so it's no to everybody. That's actually based on policy, not opinion. And that's
Uh-huh.
where they have the big disconnect. And with the community care process they have with the VA, it's like, wait, what I didn't know, and that's why I really love to sit with you a little bit, and your son, and my son, and the rest of my family and yours, and create something like the Association of United States Veterans. See, we don't have a union, and that's the problem. Everybody else has a union. We get out, we go, first we lose team. There's no team anymore. It is
Mm.
use a individual fighting a system that is, oh, we're here to help you, as long as well, we're not going to tell you the rules. We're just going to tell you no, and you go figure them out. And
Yeah.
that's why we're frustrated. And it's like, if they
Mhm.
know 22 veterans commit suicide every day, okay, where's the big effort to push back on that? You know,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
create veterans associations within the units you leave, so that there's a unit you can go talk to, and it may not necessarily be active duty, but not the VFW, not the DAV, someplace where we can go, that we can sit down and go, why are we all experiencing the same no? It's like mileage.
Hmm.
Some people have kiosks in the VA, some don't. Well, the kiosks, you sign in to go to your appointment, you do your travel right then and there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a lot of veterans got upset when here in where I'm at, they pulled them out. Well, now guys are forgetting to do it, and they come back. Life happens, and so they see a drop off on people making claims. And of course, does that seem intentional? Yes, because it's about the money. It's always about the
About the
money.
money. Yeah. Yeah.
What's your take
Yeah.
on that?
I think it's a viable. I think it's a viable project to pursue, and I think that'd be good. Yeah. I mean, right now, information gets passed, amongst veterans, amongst us veterans. I mean, we used to meet in a group. We'd be all at the pool, and of course, exchange information. Whatever avenue we were at, activity we were at, it's always about exchanging information. What happened to you? What happened to your disability claim? So yeah, a union. I think representing the vets. I think that'd be an excellent idea. And,
Well, because I got
bring,
hooked up with the Wounded Warrior Project, and I
mhm,
and your son can go on those, and it's like they take people after 9/11, and they take them on trips, and they used to when their money was a little bit more flush. Now they're more of a remote remote thing. Now that they've done
uh,
some things that cause a lack of support. But
yes,
the thing is, they can help you because they're a VS, a veteran service organization. However, they're shrinking. Everybody's shrinking because people want more for the investment of their dollars.
right,
And
right.
and and so now where do we go that we're going to get someone who's competent to help us or help our brothers and sisters who are fighting the VA to get what they're entitled to? And
Mhm.
you seem like a senior person who's been 30 years in, and but when they only been 3 or 4 and they're out and they're hurt, well, they used to have somebody looking after them. Now they don't. So where do they go
Right.
when home isn't home anymore?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So an organization like that, Veterans Union, would be great. Yeah, that'd be a door for them to knock on, and also getting the word put out when they get ready. They go through the transition program just before they get out, whether they're going to, you know, get out or go in reserves. They should have an input. That'd be a great place to input. There's some things that I learned when I was doing my transition about the VA that some things they told me that helped me out once I retired. So that would be a viable place to have a rep from the VA step in and talk, other than the one they normally have. They only tell you
Well,
so much.
I got a
and for
quick
me, I would
quick.
send it.
Yeah, y'all just made me think about definitely it'd be good for y'all to instead of myself or Andre talking about it. So when y'all see, you don't know who's some truth, who's not, but what comes to your guys' minds when you guys see younger folks holding up signs, homeless veteran, or just somebody that you know that might have got missed or dropped out by the system? And then also really quick, probably about 5 more minutes. I got another question for both of y'all. Kind of change the subject just a little bit. But anyways, the question I just asked was, what comes to your guys' mind when y'all see somebody younger? Well, I mean, and then somebody your guys' time or y'all's age too. Somebody as young as you guys. I'll say appropriately so I don't get beat up.
When I see a senior veteran who's out there saying we'll work for food, um, at first I go, one, do they know is this real? Because the VA has a lot of programs to go, hey, and I ran a couple. Hey, go here. You know, I'm not going to take you. I'm not going to put you in my car and take you to the VA because I don't know you're real. So if you want,
Mhm.
here's a card. Call them. If you're real, then they'll come get you, or they'll hook you up with a service that can. And a lot of people I see on the side of the road are just looking. They're on their hustle. They just doing their hustle. They're getting the groove on. I don't give money out the window. I'm sorry. I don't want to have you thinking begging for money. And I'll give you a quick story. When I was going to University of California, Berkeley, San Francisco, and they did this report on this guy who was begging for money. For everybody knew him 15 years. Someone said, "Hey, let's find out where this guy's living. Maybe we can help him out." Well, he went from his local spot, got on the bus, got off the bus, rode a bike up to another location, got in his Mercedes and drove his Mercedes up to his house in the Berkeley Hills. It was his hustle.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
so, so now you have to question this. I do. If you're a veteran and it's real, hey man, I'm gonna come alongside you because at least you raise your hand and that deserves my respect to help you get some help. And I ran into some people who worked at Whole Foods who were really struggling and end up getting fired and whatever because the society is not set up to appreciate what we do anymore. And
Hmm.
so, when it was hot and heavy with the battle, people coming back, in different states of coming back. Oh yeah, we love you, we love you. But now it's over. There seems to be a lack of love. And so what I would do, what to answer your question is, I have a little bit of concern when I see them say, especially they got on pieces and parts of uniforms. It's like, okay, now you're trying to appeal to a look in one,
Mhm.
you know, where's your dog tags? I still got mine, and I wear mine every day because I'm allergic to things. So if they when we, if I get hurt or have a heart attack, they can just look at that and go, okay, yeah, he's allergic to this or to that. But where is because you carry yourself a certain way when you've been in. You carry yourself a certain way that when I see somebody in the dirt, covered in dirt, a former vet, I'm like, okay, where you serve? Some of them may be dishonorable, and that's fine.
Mhm.
I still will help you even if you're dishonorable, depending on the issue. At least you still need help because if no one helps them, you're gonna revert to crime. And I don't need a veteran reverting to crime because he feels
Mhm.
that the whole society is ignoring him or her now. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm sort of 50-50. Yeah, but the veteran talk to an individual and he or she seems legit. Yeah, I'll give them something and I'll talk to them about the VA. But if they don't, they strike me as coming across wrong and it's just a hustle. Then I'll say, no, I don't. Not today. Not today. No contributions from me. I've always been an advocate of no veteran, dying alone. Dying alone. I've always, when veterans get hurt or they pass and they're on the street or whatever, I always said that they should be finding out if this individual was in fact a veteran and he or she should get the proper respect due them. Okay, because I've had friends who have died alone. But individuals on the streets, yeah, like I say, I'm 50-50 with them. And if they strike me as being legit, then I'll, do anything that they might need, refer them to the VA or whatever organization might need help for. But if they don't, then I said, maybe next time, not today.
And I think that if we got this organization, sort of like a union, you just don't drop off the planet. You actually reconstitute that team concept that we've all experienced in the military that is very much absent now. I mean, you
Mhm.
can have an argument with your wife, with your dog, whatever. You go to work, it's a team. Even if it's sometimes a bad team, it's a team, and people care about you because hey, if one goes down, we all go down.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
and we like that out in here because now, if people are committing suicide or homeless or they've been through a bad, they come back and they have issues that they end up leading to, being separated, if not divorced. Where's that team to come alongside? Because, a house gets very lonely when all you got are these walls and ain't nobody talking back.
that's right. That's right. Yeah.
And even if, like I've been married for a very long time, even if that were to break up, I still I'd get me a dog or something,
Something,
because
yeah,
yeah, because nobody wants to be in that house by themselves, having the trophies and plaques and everything they got, looking at them, and nobody really cares.
yeah.
And we at that 5 minute mark. So, what
Yeah.
question that you got?
No. So like I said earlier, to continue off something that Andre and I had started talking about. Like I said, it's kind of way off the subject, so I apologize for that. But how did how did both of you feel when your sons told you that they're ready to join the military?
I was like, oh, I mean, my oldest boy joined, and because my thing, and it may be a different time frame. My thing is, you turn 18, and like at my mama's house, you graduated from high school, you got three opportunities you can do. You go to military, you go to college, you can go to work. But you don't get to sit here and play video games. So it's one of those things. So I was like, now, okay, if you're going to college, okay, cool. We'll help you. What's your plan? You join the military. Okay, when you sign it up, when you head off to basic, because my stepdad and my father were both veterans. So like, and for me, I found that the military, regardless of what anyone may say about it, seems to be the most ethical out of all the U.S. agencies out there, departments, because they have to follow the regulations. And if not, there's congressmen and senators on opposite sides of the political fence that have no problems shish kebabbing these people. So they're going to try to do the right thing because, being successful is how they get promoted. Where in some other agencies, there's a lot more less than ethical play that they can get away with because what you get hired, let's say FBI. First 2 years, any reason whatsoever they don't like the color of your shoes, they fire you. There's no recourse. You
Mhm.
join the military, it's somebody like, oh, hey, Marine or hey, Army guy, fix your hat. Like, well, so I like it this way. Then, I mean, they're gonna kick me out. They're gonna fire me the next day. No, they're gonna give me reasons why I should probably adjust my hat. You know,
Mhm.
what do y'all think?
Yeah, I think I was surprised that Larry decided to go in the military. I was
Warlord.
really proud. And the fact that he decided to go in the Marine Corps versus the Navy, that's okay because we raised all our kids to stand up for what they believe in and be respectful. But yet, when things went the wrong way, to speak up. So I figured that he would decide his own course, and I just didn't know which branch. And he decided on the Marine Corps, and I said, "Hey, that's great, Marine Corps. You do well in the Marine Corps, and they will teach you a lot." And I feel that each and every family, they're up to sons or daughters, decide to go in. I think that's great. I think it's not mandatory like a lot of nations. They have a 2-year period, but it, it was outstanding, and I was proud, and didn't have a heartburn with him not going in the Navy like some fathers would have. So that was good. It was good for me.
Well, and I like it. And I every time I meet a kid with some good character, even some with some unique character, I go, you know what? Especially, I believe me. If joining when you're 17 or 18 is the best thing to do because you start learning one, nobody cares what you think. Two, you got to do the right thing, or someone's going to
Mhm.
very much get in your face. And when you get done with when you join the Guard or Reserve and you're gone for 6, 7 months, or you're gone for 4 years, or some kind of hybrid in the middle, you come back with the sort of discipline that it's up to me to make these steps forward. Plus, you get the VA benefits, you get your
Yes.
tuition assistance, you get all these things and then FAFSA, when you come to apply for financial aid, you're a veteran, so you're independent of your parents all of a sudden,
Mhm.
and they can still help you, but for tax purposes and financial aid, you're independent of your parents, which is good. And plus, you can earn your own money. You get to beg
Mhm.
me for no money. I'm good.
That's true. That's true.
And for Andre, he was out of all my kids, he wanted to went to Marine Corps, and it fit his personality. He was one of the he was a very assertive young man. Sometimes a little bit on the negative assertiveness, but he
Mhm.
joined in and he learned that guess what? It's nice that you're smart, but unless it's what they want to hear, you need to be quiet and dig that foxhole.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I figured Larry
Well,
would learn fast, and he did, and he excelled, you know, in his given trade, security forces, and just like I knew he would. Just his personality, as you said, fit the Marine Corps, and it brought the best out of him.
there you go. Because my thing is that what you don't learn at home, the military will teach you. And then
Yeah.
when you get in the real world, you won't step on political, social, or verbal landmines that people are just waiting to see, especially someone of color step on.
Hmm. I hear you.
Where were you born? When were you born, sir?
I was born in 1951, 21
Okay.
October 1951.
So you're a little bit
So
older
a
than
few
me. I was
days
born in
ago,
1965.
65. Okay.
Oh yeah. And
Oh
uh
yeah.
and what I was part of that first forced integrated, integration was forced upon me.
Hmm.
And so, it's a little bit different because you were able to see how the world was evolving and you saw it. Affirmative action really affected my generation as the first
Hmm.
ones, graduating in 83, head off to college. I was an athlete, so I didn't really need affirmative action, but it helped. And but just
Hmm.
to see how now the pushback on that, and so for some reason the ills of 250 years have been cured over 50 years. So it's like I'm just kind of watching this evolve and watching the next generation how they're going to fight when they realize the struggle is still there.
Yeah, yeah. I sort of when I graduated out of boot camp, nearly a week before graduation, they came around and asked, "How many guys want to go to subs?" I was the only one to raise my hand. And go subs. So the detailer, he pulled me to the side after everybody left, said, so recruit, I heard you raise your hand. They're still recruiting individuals on subs, but if you went out there today, either one, you either get killed. Secondly, you might get thrown overboard. Thirdly, you might kill somebody. So you probably should give it a couple years. I said, oh, is it still like that, huh? Said, yeah, on subs, even though they say they had advanced things. So in the field of diversity. So I waited a couple years, and 2 or 3 years. And sure enough, I did all the right things and went to subs. But that's the way the atmosphere was then. That was 1970. Yeah, yeah. And he was
see, I
being,
was OS in the Navy.
yeah, he was being honest. He was being honest. Telling me
See, I was an
exactly.
operations specialist in the Navy, so I worked up in the combat information
Oh,
center.
okay, yeah,
And
yeah.
and so as an OS, you're the first one on ship and the last one off. But you still had that flavor when I was going through that. The Navy was catching up with society,
Mm-hmm.
and it still was moving slow, but it was moving. You just had to watch your pipes and your courts to make sure
Mm-hmm.
you didn't give people bullets to shoot at you.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they will shoot you up and then laugh at you like, yeah, typical, whatever.
Whatever. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely. I had some good mentors along the way that, they gave us good, straightforward advice that helped me along, And same thing, different when me and Larry talk about certain situations. I passed on things that I knew about, to him.
So, young warrior, now that you're part of this new generation of young bucks coming out here, just making things happen in the Marine Corps. So, was the Marine Corps very inclusive? Did they look at whether you were a dark green Marine or a light green Marine?
Outside of just jokes back and forth and things like that. No, it wasn't really an issue. I had one boot camp. I remember there was just one. He wasn't even a direct drill instructor. I think he was over one of the ones over the what do you call it again? I believe like like your kind of first response stuff, your combat life saving part of boot camp. He had said something kind of crazy to me, and I kind of looked at him, and one of the other instructors kind of snatched him up and said something to him. Other than that, no, I didn't have anything crazy like that. But it was also a little different for myself. As I've told other people, my first little while at my first command, I couldn't even. I mean, I could be myself, but outside of like my close friends, like Andre or my buddy Bush, a lot of people they just assumed I was just a quiet, I'm a punch in the mouth type guy if you say something crazy to me. But I wasn't. Pretty laid back and friendly. I just I would just ask people like, you have something silly to say. How about as soon as our uniforms come off at the end of the day and say it then. But other than that,
That's why
I
the
haven't.
Marine Corps was good for you. That was Andre too, because Andre, hey, he definitely did not accept too much. He had something to prove, and that was good because every man does, every person does. They just don't. They may not know it. And the thing is, that first thing is you will respect me. It is give me the respect due what I'm trying to do. I mean, because how many people in the Marine Corps, actually made it through from the class that you're starting?
I don't know. Most of us did, in my boot camp platoon, did graduate. I think maybe there was like 4 that got held back, and then as soon as we got to School of Infantry, which is right after boot camp, a good amount of guys went UA. Excuse me. I guess I don't know. The second thoughts was hitting them, and some of them went. The ones that weren't infantry went what's it called ITB, and I heard some of them went UA too. So I guess maybe reality of what was about to go on, because at that time, I guess, you say it was wartime. Time was a little bit towards the end of more heated stuff in Iraq and when things was more picking up in Afghanistan. Yeah, I guess just reality set in for some guys, but I'll say most of us, well, everybody I kept up with, we all went through, did our time. Obviously a few of us got injured, and unfortunately a few of us after we got out didn't make it all the way. But for the most part, as far as making it through at least our first contract, most of us did.
Hmm. I know my greatest challenge I think that I've ever seen was I was going to officer candidate school, and we started off with 670 officer candidates. We only
Hmm.
commissioned 55. Only
Oh wow.
55 crossed the line, so 600 and something went home. So they said, look left, look right. They're not going to be there when you graduate. And I look left, I look right. I said, I guess y'all going home. And it's just, it's like going to. It's not as hard as, and I won't say that as like going to Navy SEAL, is the same type of 10% or less. But that
Mhm.
was a different time. Now they're trying to everyone go to officer candidate school. They want you to get a commission. Where if it's 100% graduate to walking in the door, how are we sifting the wheat? You know,
Right.
yeah, because this ain't a when you're leading people and your decisions may cost people their lives. I don't need like for us we learned that it's not gonna be your boss that gets rid of you. It's not gonna be your people that get rid of you. It'll be your peers that get rid of you because they won't pass information to you. Next, you're out there trying to do stuff and everybody else know but you. That's a clue. That's a clue.
Right, right, right. The Navy, we try to teach away from the superstar syndrome where, you running a division, you leading PO or you leading chief, and you have a task. So you give your task to your superstar, and he or she goes and gets the job done. Boom, and it's done. But you have the guy that's in the middle of the road, okay, and then you have the guy that's completely lost in your division. If you don't assign work to them and monitor them, then you know that in extremity, extremis, you fall back on what you've learned, what you've been taught. But if you haven't took the time to teach all these individuals, to assign them tasks so that he or she can grow, then in an extremist individual instance, he or she, injure people or even kill people.
Hmm.
So there's as a leader, you have to stay away from that, try to stay away from that superstar syndrome. Because that same person that you didn't train on shore duty, you go to sea, you stand at the end of the brow, up comes petty officer you didn't train up the brow to come back to your department now. So now you got this individual in your department that doesn't have all the skills that the rest have because you didn't take, as a leader, didn't take the opportunity to train him or her. So we teach stay away from that superstar syndrome because that's bad for Navy business.
I like that. I like that. I like that. I like that. And that's the thing for me when I look around and I see a lot of these kids over at supermarkets who are, what are you going to do next year? I'm graduate from a college. Okay. Oh, graduate from high school. All right. What are you going to do? I'm going to college. Okay. Well, what are you going to do at college? I want to be an engineer. Well, we have combat engineers. You can
Yeah.
go be a sapper. You go. I want to be a paralegal. I want to be an attorney. Well, you can go be a paralegal in the military. Then you're already paralegal. You graduate after 6, 7. If you're in the reserve or guard, and then you can work at an attorney's office while you're studying. And you don't have to go flip burgers.
Yeah.
Like, huh? But the military say not everybody fixes bayonets. Yeah, everybody goes sticky shoot. Some people got to load the bullets. Somebody's got to bring them chow. Someone's got to tell them where the
Mhm.
bad guys are. There's a whole lot of opportunity to find your niche without having to be infantry. But we need infantry or special forces or Delta Force or whatever. There are a whole lot of other opportunities out there at OS. A bosun's mate, whether it be a quartermaster, whatever it is, they're
Yeah.
out there and it can give you a skill set that doesn't make college so difficult.
That's right. That's
Mm.
right. Yeah.
I appreciate y'all. If you guys don't mind me shifting focuses again a little bit,
Okay.
Okay.
how do y'all two, as two gentlemen with a lot more experience than me in the military, um, and I guess without getting too too, I guess, political with it, even though it comes along with the conversation. How do y'all two feel kind of the direction of current national security is headed, or what would you like to see? And I don't just mean just straight up military. I also mean like things as far as like the power grids are part of national security, our trade, obviously our defense, our media, and our borders, both north and south. I can repeat
Well,
any part of it if you need me to.
no. Actually, for me, I have this thing called, because I'm right now I'm going to school. I'm going to school at the Institute of World Politics, and I get my doctorate in statecraft and national security affairs.
Okay.
So for me, I look at what we call a CISET. It would be society, information, um, criminality, economics, and then politics. And so society, the problem that we're facing, and that's all what I consider part of national security, is that society has to decide what are the values and morals by which it's going to live. It's fluctuating between left and right when we should all be in the center and be respectful of the left or right. Then you start looking at the information, the media, like you were saying. What's the media's take on it, and what are they trying to sell? Because they're a business. They want hits. They want people looking at their shows. So do
Mhm.
they really believe what they're talking about, or they just want you to tune in? And then crime. Well, if you know these people from the border are coming in, and that's the thing about the border. If you will say estimate, you will stick with the 8 million or 10 million. It's probably twice that. If they don't have green cards, how are they going to work? So that means that we're funding them now. Then my question becomes, for those minorities that have been here for centuries, have you ever done that investment in them that you're doing in these people who are actually broke the law and come in the country? It's like I do this simply when I talk to people that, if say you're having a house party and you invite all your friends over, and all of a sudden these other people start showing up. You got twice as many people in your house as you invited, and now they are here.
Yeah.
They're breaking your furniture. They go into your refrigerator. They don't care because where they come from. Breaking furniture is what they do.
Mhm.
Who would allow that? But you allow that into your country. Someone has to feed them. They still have to. They have daily needs. They have to eat, drink, do all the bodily functions we have to do. Who takes
Yeah.
care of that? If not, then this criminality. It's like in the hood. Why they selling dope in the hood? Because they need money too. They watch the rich and famous. They want that. They want to be Snoop Dogg.
Mhm. Mhm.
They want to have their own TV show. And if they can't, then where are they going to get it from? Economics goes right along with criminality. We have what's been the issue about America from day one is the cost of labor. Whether indentured
Possibly.
servitude or slavery, it was all about labor. So now you bring these people who can't represent anything. They don't have a social security number. If they get a job, they're working under the table. They can be hired and fired at will, or forced to do things that they don't want to because they need that money. And then the politics. Look at what just happened. We just had a change in the commander in chief. It's like night and day.
Mhm.
We went from the fog to the sun. Now we have someone, you know, he didn't know the difference between Kool-Aid time and ice cream time. Now we got someone who's doing Trump time. And so,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, now we're getting this stuff under control. And I think that's my thing is national security, every element of the domestic forefront of America is part of national security. Anything that endangers that allows opportunity for disruption. Because all you need is 10% to 15% of the population to rise up, and you're in the midst of a beginning of a civil war. I mean, look at the actual Civil War. Remember, there's two things like a Civil War and Revolutionary War. The difference is
Mhm.
Revolutionary War is when the people rise up and they win.
Mhm.
Civil War is when they rise up and they lose. You know, that's the difference. The same population. So in the American Revolution, only 20 to 30% supported, the revolutionary forces. The other 30% were in the middle waiting to see who won. The other 30% were siding with the British.
Some of the British. Yeah.
You know, same thing here. You look at the Confederate States, that was the South. All of them Democrats.
Mhm.
So like for me, it's kind of hard for me to take on that identity knowing the history.
Mm-hmm.
Some can't, some can get past it, but for me, I'd rather be an independent or something other than that. I just couldn't call myself that, knowing that Jefferson Davis was a Democrat. You know,
Yeah.
I just can't do it. Or Woodrow Wilson was probably one of the most racist president in the United States outside of Andrew Johnson, who took over after Abraham Lincoln,
Yeah.
and they both were Democrats. It's kind of hard for me to do that. So I mean, JFK was a come up in, but then you had Johnson after him, which was the low point. So I don't know if that answers your question, but for me, I'm really concerned that Americans, what has happened for me, my perspective, when's the last Great War? In the 40s, and people got comfortable now. See what we're finding when the commander of staff college, the conversation was that now America's warriors are from families. My father served, my stepfather
Mm-hmm.
served, I served, my kids served. So it's like it's not just pulling in the whole masses to serve the United States, which means that there's almost 95% of the people out there don't know anyone who even know a friend, but no one from their families ever served. So you just think that the magic genie is going to show up and save you. No, it takes
Yeah.
people willing to
It's big.
sacrifice. What do you think? What do y'all think?
Yeah, me, the border, I think North and South, I think the border individuals, we need all the tools to correctly control the border properly. That means in processing individuals, tracking individuals that have been trying to get their green card system needs a kicking behind to get the system moving the way it should and get everybody properly documented, North and South. And I think that the Border Patrol, they should get everything they need. They should get it. They should get it. Our government should provide it for them, and they should be able to do their job. As far as ICE concerned, ICE, the raids, if individuals are criminal and they're wanted, then they should be taken in. I think ICE shouldn't get too heavy-handed. But as far as the sanctuary cities not providing them with sanctuary help, I think that they provide them to a certain extent. They provide help to a certain extent as per the law. But they are, in fact, sanctuary cities for a reason. As far as our national posture, I think that even with the new regime change, that fat should be gotten rid of. Okay, Trump is supposedly trimming the fat. I think certain areas the fat needs to go, and other areas I think that they need to take a hard look at before they change things. Him and his administration. And as far as individuals in the military, I think that again we provide the best quality of individuals to protect this country. And I think that that's not going to change. It's not going to change. I see even individuals who don't agree with in the military and in the uniform with Mr. Trump, they still have to respect the office of the presidency. Okay? You still have to respect that. And that's that's what I feel. That's what I've always felt. And I can only see it getting better. I can only see it getting better. The last thing is just that the average individual, I think that the average American, a lot of times they take things, I feel, for face value. A lot of times not having all the clear facts. And our news agencies sometimes sort of rub me the wrong way because I feel that they put out too much vital information at the wrong time to get the big score, as you say before. They want the big score. They want the big headline. But I'm a submarine guy. I'm not used to sharing vital information to anybody because that can mean, life or death. So our news industry, I know they want to make the big score and they want to get the story, but they need to be careful about the information they put out because they put individuals' lives in harm's way when they do that. And I really feel, wholesome about that. That bugs me at times, But but that's just me. I'm an old bubblehead, so.
No, and you make a good point because I was reading some of the articles for this class. I've taken a class on intelligence and the law, and the thing is that we as with who are keepers of secrets need to make sure that we don't have leaks from us because once it gets to the press, it's a
Mhm.
story. So they don't. And the Supreme Court says, hey, if you can't manage your affairs, as long as it's not imminently going to cause hurt, harm, or damage, then that's your fault. The
Mhm.
question is how do we get those other federal agencies, and I'm writing a little paper for this class that hopefully we'll get it published, is it no, put all the people who touch intelligence, put them under the UCMJ.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah,
you can do? Guess what? Because that's 24/7. You can go inside if you leak if you want to, but guess
yeah,
what? The attorney you're going to face is going to be in uniform, and then for those
yeah.
people who are intel, give them a reserve commission or reserve rank. So when you mess up, we pull you. You get to put on a
Okay.
uniform, even if you look like the Michelin Man, and we're gonna take you in there, not to the regular venue, that's civilians, into military court. That if we have to close the door because it's classified, so be it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true.
Because
Yeah.
I just hate to see like Snowden and others. Well, like the Snowden case, he's like, oh, we were spying on Americans, which happened before in the 60s and 70s. But again,
Yeah,
no one
yeah.
stopped the program. No one stopped the program, even though he divulged it. But the question because these young people, oh, he was a patriot. No, you know, he didn't even finish his 2-year degree. His parents got him a job, and he decided that out of all the attorneys that he talked to and the SCSs that went to the White House and asked the Office of Legal Counsel for the president, so it's legal.
Mhm.
He decided he'd reveal it. Now, what did he do? He just told our enemies.
Yeah,
He just stopped
yeah.
the program. Program's still operational. So it's like we need to make sure that we have quality in these places. That no, you just can't go get on a flight next. You're in Korea on your way to Russia.
hmm Yeah,
You know, but we'll see.
truly.
It's. See, we're old. We're old heads,
hmm
and the question is how are the younger people, how are they going to see it when all this not saying that freedom or when the chickens come home to roost, when guess what, all these people you let in, maybe 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 10,000, 100,000 of these 8 million, which is less than 1%,
hmm
are really lined up with your adversary.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
they had a what, 1,000% increase with Chinese coming in through Florida. What's that?
hmm
China's the second largest economy in the world. They're $17 trillion. We're at 24. Why do they need to flee China to come to the US? I mean, they got jobs. If you're in the communist China, everyone's gonna have a job.
Everybody got a job. Yeah, yeah,
Even if
yeah.
it's categorizing dirt, you're gonna have something to do in communist China.
hmm
So, but why come here? And why fighting aged males? Where are the females at? You can
Yeah.
start asking yourself, if I get all these, like we just had one, was a gentleman in England, a recent immigrant from Afghanistan, takes a car and runs people over just because they're in an emergency. If they didn't want to come to the UK, why are you taking them to the UK?
Yeah. It's a
Let's make
point.
sure they're a good fit.
hmm Yeah.
Because I had one of my old interpreters wanted me to sponsor him to come to the United States. I'm like, I don't think so. So you're making as much money as that 3-star Afghan general. You don't want to put on your uniform of your country, but you want me to take you to my country. So I already got 100 people behind me that refuse to serve. I don't
hmm
need a new import of an Afghan behind there with the rest of them. No, you
Yeah,
can fight
yeah,
for your country. Then you can come to mind because again, when we have to fight, you help.
yeah. Understand.
I keep seeing these chats, these little hip surreal or whatever that is. What is that about?
It's your daughter-in-law,
Oh, okay.
your son.
Okay.
Daughter-in-law.
Well, it's nice to know that you're being looked at, and hopefully not laughed at. But
I
it's
see.
interesting when when you really start looking at it's been so cocooned in America that they really don't see the threats, and they go, well, everybody's equal. Well, no, not everybody's equal. I mean, you can have two
Right.
birds born on the same day in the same nest, and outcome's not going to be equal. It's like,
Hmm.
can you really import people from around the world who really don't understand the sacrifices? It's like, I ran into a couple of people who are from Africa who come here, and they are truly African American, but it's like they don't understand why a lot of people within the Black community who are historically been in this country who are of color,
Hmm.
why they have such issues. It's like, well, you don't understand. See, you don't understand that we earned this freedom. The Civil War, 182,000 men of color look like me fought for the Union that made the difference. You
Hmm.
don't understand what that legacy, that heritage is. You don't understand where people will wear their Confederate flag and go, this is heritage. Well, so is the USCT, United States Color Troops.
Hmm.
If you don't get upset about me waving that, and you don't want me to get upset waving your Confederate flag, we should be able to go out and have a beer together then. But you see the USCT and you get upset because they killed my grandpappy. Well, then how do you think I take the Confederate flag?
Right. Right.
It's like then let's all be sensitive to the fact that we all can claim a heritage. Just make sure
Hmm.
one is not treason.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if
That's
that's
true.
off topic, but that's just kind of
It's
because
fine.
Hmm.
I remember I was getting ready to go to Iraq in 2004. We do some training down in different places because I was with this little team, and this one person was saying, "Hey, we were right down in Virginia. Here's a big old statue of Robert E. Lee." I'm like, why is there a traitor in the middle of the street?"
Hmm.
Oh no, that's heritage. That's it's heritage. Oh, okay. So tomorrow, to the Confederate flag's heritage. Tomorrow, how about this? Tomorrow, I'm going to take the Confederate flag as my heritage, and I'll put you in slavery for 100 years. And then you can tell me what that means to you when you see it as heritage. He kind of looked at me and says, "That's what you're not getting. Is that you're
Hmm.
trying to create a heritage that is noble, and they're fighting. Some of them were noble, but they chose to raise up against justice and actually try to violently overthrow the United States." According to the Constitution, I forgot which amendment. I think the due process,
Hmm.
that's treason, and that's the only crime identified in the Constitution in the Bill of Rights is the crime of treason. So it's like we have to make sure that we can have a conversation, but let's not go down the road where we're trying to kill our fellow American.
Yeah.
I mean
Yeah.
that covers a lot of things. For the LGBTQ folks who think that people are trying to kill them in large numbers. And that's because that's been really their claim, and they shouldn't have to face that. But how can we get society to a point where that they're inclusive to the point where they can walk the streets without fear of harm?
Yeah. Ideally. Right.
If I can interrupt real quick,
Send it.
uh, one of the chats said, "What do you gentlemen think about Tulsi Gabbard as our national intelligence director?"
I'll let you have a crack at that. I think no, she was Army. She was Army.
Suzanne. Hmm.
Y'all are up because I think she was a lieutenant colonel when she got out. She was
I
oh
think so.
05.
She was old.
She was Democrat, then went Republican.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Actually, a Democrat hopeful for president.
I think you're right.
Now, for
Yeah.
me, I'll throw it out there. I think that she has a military mindset. So for her, she's going to do it by the regulation. See, and I don't know if y'all noticed it. Almost all the people who are around him, from his national security advisor, are all veterans or former military. And it's like even the new was it Secretary of the VA? He's a colonel in
Mhm.
the Georgia Air National Guard, I think, or in the Air Force, and veteran. So there are people who can follow an order without deciding. I don't think I'll follow the order today. And I think for her, it'll be making sure that the people live up to the standard by which the Office of the Director of National Intelligence is supposed to operate. And I think after Trump's experience in 2016, um, when the counterintelligence investigation started on him based on some Steele dossier, and it was fictitious, and they were falsifying documents for the FISA court to continue the investigation. I think that she's going to prevent that. I think the new director of the FBI is going to prevent that. I think the new attorney general is going to prevent something like that. Because what Trump faced over the past 4 years getting out of office is basically lawfare. And I think she's going to prevent the intelligence community from being used with this vast capability of spying on Americans or creating something based on political animus.
That's definitely one of my biggest things. If I can just butt in right quick,
No,
it's
feel free.
always, I mean, you hear it all the time on the news, but I always think about how often do people really think about it. No matter what side of the coin it's on, whether you're Democratic, Republican, Green Party, Independent, whatever. I highly dislike it when I start seeing our judicial system, anything like that, weaponized against a former president, because that's when we start looking like Soviet Union, some of these countries in South America, China, Japan. Is when we start looking like them, and we stop looking like what we're supposed to look like over here, which is free and by the people.
Yeah,
That's why, when I like the go ahead,
Yeah.
feel free, jump in.
Yeah, I agree that I think she'll bring a militistic point of view to her job, and I think she'll have a firm checks and balance system that'll hold individuals to accountable. I think she will, and I think that she will be graded upon in the job she does. I think she has all the tools.
Well, I like the fact that the president actually removed the clearance of the 51 people who said the Hunter Biden laptop was fake, was Russian information. He pulled their clearances. What I did not know was that when Trump left office, Biden pulled his clearance. But now, when Biden left office, Trump has pulled his clearance.
I heard.
Well, I mean, if you can store classified documents by your Corvette because your Corvette's in the garage and your Corvette's safe, obviously the classified documents will be safe too. It's like okay, all right. But it brings you back to these former 51 intelligence professionals who can take something by virtue of politics, say is genuine when it's proven to or not be genuine when it's proven to be genuine. Now everything they've done becomes questionable. Every assessment that they put forward becomes questionable. Every time they give advice to the president, it becomes questionable. Do we get into war because did Afghanistan happen because their advice was questionable? We left Afghanistan as a PC show, and it's like because someone maybe gave him bad advice. And how many people died? That 13 service members died because of that explosion. As they were exiting Afghanistan. Was that bad advice? Were the commanders limited by virtue of that bad advice? Yeah, I like that. I like the Soviet thing is everybody has a past, and everybody can find whatever they want to and anybody they want to, even if that's to make it up. I mean, look at Trump. He was impeached twice. Once on the Steele dossier, which was proven to be fictitious. It's like that's a dangerous thing when you're trying to remove a president based on someone's lies because they don't like him, and that was the intelligence community.
Yeah.
And that's been my recommendation on this little paper I'm doing is that take the counterintelligence mission away from the FBI, put it under Department of Justice, especially if it deals with senior executive officials within the current administration. Put it over there, almost make it and then they're under Title 10 anyway. Or if you put them under like my recommendation, you're not gonna leak that because as a former intelligence person, let me have one of my folks leak something. I will make sure you get court-martialed forever. And like, no, there is no. I made a mistake. No, there is. We all know these. We get these rules. They tell us this is how you operate. you're done. And
Mhm.
what I don't like him. Well, guess what? Tell me that. Tell me about how much you don't like him when you sit at Leavenworth.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yep.
know, it's scary that, like you said, you know, will she do a good job? I think she will. I think her military experience will help her, but she's going to be dealing with people who don't have that discipline sitting next to her
Right.
at the Office of the
Right.
Director of National Intelligence. What do you think about that? Having all these people who come from the civilian world, now they're playing with secrets and no, they don't have the discipline as military people or former military people. What do you guys
She's
think?
got to school them. She's gonna. I think I think she'd be able to school them. Yeah. Nobody said it'd be easy, but I think she'll be able to school them, these individuals, and to bring them around. And if not, I think that they'll go home. If not, if they don't, if they don't get on with the show, then I think that they'll go home. You know.
And I
I
like that
guess
concept because go ahead.
I was gonna say, I guess for me personally, uh, I mean, it kind of becomes less about them and more about me. You should never try to make things about yourself. But I end up having that internal battle in my head. Like I don't want to sit there and try to be like I'm like thinking elitist or anything like that. But I mean, I'm just more comfortable with people. This kind of I don't know if you want to say forced or this been trained into that type of discipline. I prefer to have those people surrounding that type of thing, that type of national security or information. And
Hmm.
that's just me. And I definitely know that's not every even military person my age opinion. That's just me because you got your people out there that they're like, well, I feel like only military and police should be able to have firearms. I completely disagree with that. But when it comes to stuff like intelligence and national security, the intelligence side of it, I prefer people that's already disciplined.
And know the consequences of not being disciplined, as opposed to, oh,
Mhm.
I'm whatever, and I'll talk to my representative in the Senate or the House, and they're going to try to use smoke and mirrors so that the pain. Well, oh, I'm just a whistleblower. No, when you leak classified information, you're a criminal. It's
Criminal.
either espionage, it falls in that realm. So how are you a whistleblower?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and blowing the whistle, go, ooh, they did a foul. They took the cookies. Okay, but whoop, they did something, and I shared the information with a. We had this one particular major, um, worked in D.C., was passing information to his newspaper girlfriend.
Mm.
Um, she published it. He got rolled up, going, well, I was just helping the press. No, 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 no. You're a major. You're an intel person. We don't help the press. If you are, then you're a public affairs officer, and you're not, and you're getting fed what you can tell people. You're not just go, well, I just want to help out America. That major, and you're a major too, so we have zero tolerance.
That won't fly. That won't fly.
That actually, I guess, that leads me, I guess, kind of like a quick story, and then another question for both of y'all. With stuff like that, where do you, how do I question it? Where do you draw the line? I guess with like personal sympathy or personal bias or something like that, because which I later on found out he's good friends with my old company commander. There was a reservist captain. He had asked some questions because he didn't trust the Afghani uh, police chief where he was, and he had emailed somebody, asked a question, and then and this is way back when I was working at the Office of Inspector General, um, or the OIG. How'd it go? He realized he wasn't sending it encrypted, and nobody paid attention to it, and he self-reported himself, and from there the military essentially just gave him the hammer, like they were trying to take everything from him. I believe eventually he did get you know his time and grade back, and he had the option to finish his time to get a retirement and stuff like that. but I think he chose not to because he was just completely, done with the military at that point. But a lot of people in the office at that time, I believe the sentiment was, they're like, we got to do our job, but we don't feel like they should be so harsh on them.
What do you think there? I'm going to pass it over to my Navy counterpart over there.
Well, I sort of think back that when I took my oath, when we get ready to go on training missions on the boats, and before we go in certain areas, you you have to more or less take an oath and sign some paperwork that says you won't divulge the next 10 years or so certain information. Or when the Navy, after Walker, made me a CMS custodian, and I had to go and get my clearance updated, and I had to answer some questions, and again take an oath and say I will not divulge certain information. So I feel that I understood that. I understood why I had a shadow for 5 years. I understood that I feel that he should have been held accountable because he knew the standards. And every such and such time that you get back and you review the standards because they come and they re-examine you. They re-ask you your questions as far as having certain security clearances. Not for a fact because I went through that. And so therefore I think that should have been fresh in his mind and on his mind. And I think that he made a calculated mistake. And yes, he did own up to it, but I think he should be held accountable as per the law, military justice.
And having been embedded with Afghans and dealt with the Iraqis, they give you a place where you can add your comments, whether you do an IR or intelligence, initial intelligence report or whatever, information report, to get feedback or put in the person's dossier. You know, you're supposed to do it in the way that it's been identified. And they tell you that before you go out to wherever mission site you are. Hey, either you take notes and keep that close hold till you get back and then do that and then destroy the notes or whatever is the procedure that you do. Um, but if you're on, you can't use, if something's supposed to go on a certain classification server to get feedback, you can't just put it over open source where, hey, anybody could have intercepted that. Anybody could, and then now they have an idea of what you were doing, where you were doing it, when you were doing it, who you were doing it with. So I concur that, sometimes that's why you're captain, go talk to the major. Get approval. If you got a question, don't be, Mr. Shell Answer Man and just go, hey, anybody help me? Because you don't know who's getting back to you, and you don't know who's intercepted you. Hey, can you help me? And it's like he's lucky they let him finish out his or give him the option to, but he should have
Mhm.
really thought it through before he pushed that forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm looking at this almost talking about the Second Amendment.
Oh, yep. I was going to ask y'all. So Andre asked to y'all how likely is it that the Second Amendment will be altered or modified to where the right it is to pretty much to where the right is restricted or totally removed. I don't think it's happening anytime soon, but he asked you to.
I don't think it'll be repealed.
And it's an amendment, so it has to get what, three-quarters of all the states to change the Constitution, and half of the people, and that goes back to 70 some odd years since we had our last war, and now you start looking at it. Why did the founders? Because they're not my father. Because my people would probably do something else at the time they was establishing this country. But the founders did it because everybody needed to carry a weapon at the time. There was no cops to come show up and help you. You're out there on the frontier. It was you until you got the other people to come and help you and render aid, whether it was a slavery revolt or was incursions by a hostile nation or the indigenous population. So now, is it any different now with the influx of unique people coming into the United States of various places from around the world? I don't feel comfortable giving up my arms. I would feel very uncomfortable, because by the like, let's look here, sake of argument. Where I live, from 5 minutes from the time you call, it takes 5 minutes for a cop to show up at your house. You live out in the county, it's going to be 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes before they show up. So what I'm going to say, hey, bad guy, hey, wait till the cops show up before you come in and beat me up and take my stuff. No, that's not going to happen. So,
Right.
if we get to the point where society is actually safe, and I would even say even Europe doesn't have that kind of safety,
Mhm.
even though they've taken the weapons from their citizens. What happens then? Now all the weapons are gone. Look at Ukraine. Well, then you can go get supply, but what's going to save you while you get your family out of the Ukraine to a safe place to go back and fight? Gonna hope the Russians let you through because you said, Mother, may I? I don't know.
Mhm.
I may have to shoot my way out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and God we trust. The rest of the time we stay armed.
Hmm.
You know, you know,
Yeah.
because
Right.
God ain't gonna snitch.
That's right.
Cool.
So I don't know if the Second Amendment or it ought to. I think what it is, people think we're civilized, and obviously we are not. 'Cause I mean, I think I'd have been armed in New Orleans come New Year's Day, where the guy's running down the street and everybody's running, hoping that he run out of gas or don't get them.
Hmm.
Obviously, nobody had firearm because I'd have lit that vehicle up.
It's surprising they didn't. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Or now there are people walking around with butcher knives and attacking people. And where am I going to go? Hey, can you please not? I'm a good guy. Here, stab him. Or that terrorist act that happened in Paris a couple of years ago, where the guys ran out of bullets. Girls are hiding underneath the table. I'm not hoping you're gonna run out of bullets. I'm gonna put my arm down range. And if I go to the range. So if I see it and I point it, I'm gonna hit it.
Mm.
There's been instances in Chicago where these grandmothers have this mother pulled out a gun and individuals try to rob her. She unloaded on. Unloaded. Grandmother, try to rob her. She was alone, living alone. They tried to rob her. She unloaded on. Caught them by surprise. All right.
And my question then is, why would you want her to be unarmed? Why would her being armed threaten other people? That's my question. Is like, if she, why wouldn't, especially women and actually people of color,
Mm-hmm.
for years we couldn't be able to carry firearms because they made assessment about us. Now you can. Why would you not?
Yeah.
If I'm driving through, let's say Mississippi, I'm gonna have my stuff just in case somebody decides that I shouldn't be in that neighborhood and they ain't carrying a
Being,
badge, and they decided that they're gonna make sure I don't come back here no more.
yeah.
What's your next question, young man? What else you got there?
And my last question of the evening is, how do y'all feel about some of these alternate federal agencies having their own SWAT or operators, like the Postal Service? I recently, maybe 3 years ago, just found out which all the places I've interned and worked at, I never knew that they had their own like SWAT team. I know the IRS, they were picking up a bunch of numbers and seeing a bunch of training on that, and I was like, these people are going to get themselves hurt. These people are sloppy, but they were trying to train them up to be like FBI, SWAT, and stuff like that. I don't think that many agencies need them, and like, how often does the Postal Service even use their SWAT and something like that? So I was just wondering how y'all felt about that. And again, almost completely different subject, but kind of goes with national defense, I feel.
I'll let the older gentleman go ahead and swing at the ball.
I think these agencies should review, review their criteria and their mission and their job and what they do, and redetermine if in fact they still need to have these individuals stand up in the same form and format that they have them today, or they had them in the past, And if they needed to be updated, brought up to speed, and if they need to be reduced, some cases, in other cases, employed more so, for instance, in the post office, then I think that should happen. But they did do a honest review of these particular agencies and determine if that source, those units, can they be provided other places. They should reevaluate the whole gamut and see if it's feasible today or if it can be modified. And depending on their mission, their particular, because they all have unique missions. So therefore, depending on their mission, but they should have a clear, honest look and a self-determination, and then go forward.
I concur. I think that everyone wants to have a shiny team for themselves when that's why you have the FBI. That's why you have U.S. Marshals. That's why you have all these different elements that already exist. Why would the Postal Service need to have a SWAT team when they can just call the FBI and say, hey, we have someone doing it? Why would they need to have their separate independent operation? Which means, are they coordinating with the local jurisdiction? Are they tapping into others? You know, the half of the problems that we face within the federal government, you have the redundancy of effort. So like now everybody has a SWAT team. So we got the underwater basket weavers, they got a SWAT team. Like at what point do we kind of go, no, we need these people who train all the time. If you want to have a Delta Force type operation or special forces, that's all the SWAT is. They train all the time, every day. That's what they do. Then guess what? Then that's. But do you need that with the Postal Service? Are they what they're gonna take down? Grandma because she got too many stamps. What are they? What's the criteria of them becoming operational? If they're doing some kind of contraband through the mail, couldn't they talk to the FBI? So it seems to be a little bit of an overstretch for them to expand and have that kind of capability within their own organizational structure.
I think also that these individuals these services who do in fact have these agencies for their own particular team, if they do in fact stand up, there should be some coordination with like you said, with the other law enforcement agencies. They should be able to intertwine. They should be able to communicate, what they're doing, let them know what they're doing. So there can be a joint effort instead of them just having to go out on their own. And in some cases, when they look at that, they might say it's more feasible not to have that unit whatsoever, do away with the unit and just rely on the legal services that's already provided. But in situations where they do in fact have it stood up, interface is important. They should be able to talk to each other, not in problems.
Well, it's the same thing was happening with the apprehension of illegals or undocumented persons who committed crimes who should be removed. You have ICE, you have Homeland Security, you have the FBI. Well, if you're going to have that kind of capability, then you should be loaning them Postal Service to the FBI to go after these people too. I mean, this should be a joint effort. Then someone maybe go, well, we don't necessarily. Why does the post? Because I bet you no one. I know President Trump probably doesn't know the Postal Service has a SWAT team. I mean, were they going after large packages? What are they doing that the FBI couldn't do? Or U.S. Marshals or Homeland Security or DEA.
Right.
I mean, now we're spending money on things that we don't necessarily need. I mean, you look at USAID. I mean, you're spending all this money to influence people that even counter to what we want to do, and maybe with the State Department, because you're supporting organizations that are anti-American. Why are we doing this? Whose agenda are we actually serving?
Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
Also with a SWAT team. Wow. Man, they're going after people who are sending a fruitcake through the mail.
Something.
What else you got for me?
Good.
You got two old people that we chewed a lot of dirt, and we still got dirt in the teeth, so we can help you out.
Let me think. Well, I mean, chat. Any of y'all got questions? I think Teddy asked a question way above when y'all was in the middle of something. I was like, well, stay on subject. I don't even know if I
Well,
can find
I
it.
saw one that talked about whether Trump was being a tyrant, and it was kind of unique when I saw that. It's like, to a certain extent, all presidents are, to a certain point, that Congress has to implement its own vision. That's why you have three equal branches of government. He's controlled by the purse strings, but if you don't, because you're playing politics, then you're giving free reign to the president to do what he wants. So you just look at the Iran
Mhm.
Contra affair, where now you got the national security advisor and the staff doing covert operations. It's like, 'cause nobody else could. So they figure, since we have been told no, we're gonna do it. Oh, they told us no. I guess we got to stop. So it's like,
Mhm.
you know, you everyone does, and I think that it's just a matter of. I think with this gentleman, with the current president of the United States, I think he's trying to set the stage that what he's doing will be continuing past his time in office. I
Yeah.
think what happened to him, he's very upset that, you know, just think about it. On the way out, 15 minutes before he turned over the reins of power to Trump, he pardons his family. Wow. And the one thing he thinks is stupid, he should have pardoned himself
Mm.
or his grandkids because they got money too. So it's like, you start kind of going, so should we limit the power of the president? Should we have a corruption standard put within the law so that if you're corrupt and you find out you're doing things that, either to go after your political adversary or try to enrich yourself, that regardless of your position, I mean, they said basically for Trump, you have immunity if you're doing something in your official capacity as a president, but
Mhm.
stealing ain't part of it. So I was like,
Yeah.
what can we do as a society to limit the power of the president, but also giving him the power to do what he needs to do, he or she needs to do to keep us safe?
Yeah.
I don't know what you think.
Checks and balances. Yeah. Right.
It's like a wife and a husband, or like people who are renting a home, just checks and balances.
Yeah. Checks and balances. Yeah.
A Doge? You want to do this one?
Yeah,
I said the
that
one
was
on
a question
Doge.
earlier.
Huh?
What do you think? You want to
The,
handle that one?
a question earlier. Teddy has. Do either of you have an opinion on those? So no direct question. That he's just asking your opinion on it. I guess.
On those.
Mm-hmm.
What's
It's
Department of what is it? Department of it's basically on
government?
government efficiency.
Is it government
What,
efficiency or ethics?
efficiency because they're going after wasted money and stuff. And granted,
Elon
from what I've
Musk?
seen, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Elon Musk? He's kind of running
Yeah.
that operation.
Yep. From what I've seen, uh, I don't know if he should be in the spotlight so much, but I've definitely been seeing and reading a lot that they've been finding a lot of stolen money, wasted money, and there's definitely a lot of people being charged right now. And I mean, honestly, that should have been done a long time ago. I think it was kind of one of them like DC things, kind of like you shouldn't do it, don't do it in my face. But it's been happening, so I'm not going to do too much about it. I think that should have been instead of all these cutbacks to things that the American citizens utilize, cutbacks to military budgets that's definitely more so connected to military members, families, and people they have to take care of. Like that, they should have been looking in those places first. So the cutbacks to the VA, cutbacks to government assistance programs to American citizens, homeless and stuff like that. They should have been doing something like this a long time ago. So as far as what I've seen so far, I like what they're doing, but I don't know if he should be in the spotlight so much because I mean he's already in the spotlight on his own, so he doesn't need to be in the spotlight. But and then that's just my personal opinion.
I like it. For me, it's a matter of, up until this point, no political figure was willing to do it. He had four more years. He can't run again. This is it. This is this. He's drinking all his Schlitz, and he says, "I might as well go out with a bang." And if he can find a corruption that then allows us to be able to shrink this $4 trillion debt.
Mhm.
And more power to him. And what he was, kind of putting out there is that the EU, we have a trade imbalance with them, with China, with Canada, and with Mexico that equals about $1 trillion a year. Well, how many years has this been happening? Is that where we're getting our debt from outside of overspending on programs that, I mean, how many billions of dollars did they spend on illegal immigrants who shouldn't even be here? So, when you roll out the carpet, when you have a house party, you don't care who comes in, guess what? Your house gonna look like it. And so, with having a Doge to be able to go, hey, you know what? Was this the proper use of money for this particular
Mhm.
project? Why not? Why would the a particular party have a problem with that? Oh, now they want to do it personal. It's because we don't like this person because he messed up social media because now we can't do what we want to do anymore. Well, that alone should tell us that we're probably getting close to the truth. Maybe this was all designed. I mean, just take a look at this. Doge is trying to, especially we look at illegal immigrants. Why do the illegal immigrants in? To change the population? Because see, me and you, they already know how we're going to vote. You get another 10, 11, 12 million people who are loving a particular party because they let them in and they're feeding them. And they finally give them a right to vote. Who they going to vote for?
Mhm. Yeah.
So Doge, I think Doge is doing a good job, at least from my perspective. And hopefully, and I think they started hearings today in the House as far as going over Doge, because I'm a, what I'm studying, so I'm watching between Fox News, CNN, and MSNBC. I'm watching all this stuff, kind of going. They're getting to the bottom line, and then they're starting to start asking different parties, person, why are you supporting this? Why are you not supporting this? You know, who's really behind passing out money and other people's money?
Yeah, I think Doge is a necessary entity. It's like the brother who comes to the party that nobody knows, and he's gonna look into everything and pick over everything and then eat what he wants to eat. I think that those should be transparent in their job. You know,
Okay, fair enough.
yeah, should be transparent in their job. Then secondly, the information that the personal data they look at, again, that should be protected. You know, uh, they're doing a job that a lot of people don't want to do, and I think that's great, tremendous, but it should be transparent. Then again, the information that they indulge in should be private. Okay, should be
Well, I
private.
think it goes along with what you're saying about the non-disclosure agreement. You don't
Mm-hmm.
disclose anything that you've read, seen, or heard, or conducted in your
Mm-hmm.
duties as a government contractor or employee, and divulge it if you want to. But guess what? You get to see about 12 people who look and think like me, and we're going to say guilty.
Guilty. That's right.
You don't want to see me at a court martial sitting up in the box. You're going away.
I hear you.
Unless you really were gone after. And but yeah, I think that you should look at, because we do that. When I get soldiers coming in, they want to get a clearance. I'm looking at their data before I push it forward. Hey, can I support it? Do I want to stop it here at the unit? Because hey, do I want to go and talk to my MPs right there and go, hey, run a background on this guy before I send this, because I can do a simple NAC and get you an interim clearance. But if I get a NAC comes back funny, you ain't getting anything. So, there should be a way that, they can look at it, but then that non-disclosure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely. Oh,
What else you got
just to be
for us?
clear, let me think. I think a lot of people started jumping up. Okay, we might have one more. Oh, they're saying excellent content, fellas. Do I have any personal questions I haven't asked? Hmm. I didn't really think past national security today.
Well, I do
I get
appreciate your
okay.
dad being online and kind of chatting up, someone with a little bit more season in the season of life. Um, Because guess what?
Yeah,
What it tells me is that there's not too much difference. There may be newer technology, maybe different, but really the values are the same.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, Go ahead, Royal Jules. Ask whatever you would like, ma'am. Let me move this out the way so I can see when it pops up. She's probably typing it right now.
That's
While she's
okay.
doing, while she's typing that, I'll ask y'all, what would you two, as seasoned veterans, like to see with the future of our military? Kind of a broad question. I'm sure you've heard a lot.
I'll give the floor to the more seasoned individual.
I just the military keep being the point on the spear. You know, the point on the spear as far as world military goes, and being enhanced even more with the latest and the greatest that we have coming out today for our military. I think they deserve to have the best of everything, and including weapons and the newest and greatest and the latest. And anybody running the Pentagon should be ruling and with his mind right, on the aspect of protecting America in all aspects.
And I concur. My thing is that I was embedded in Afghanistan, and you have Marines out there trying to nation build, and that was just cool. But put them with their counterparts. And my thing is that nation building is more of a State Department issue, and then we end up getting is we got more bodies in the State Department. But the thing is, let's not get away from the lethality that we must bring to the fight. I don't ever want to go into a fair fight. I want to go in it. You got a butter knife and I got a bazooka, and guess who's gonna win?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah,
that's how hopefully we always play that. Because guess what? I don't need to lose somebody because we want a fair fight.
Mm-hmm.
No, you kick the door, you get what's behind the door, and I'm
yeah,
not gonna stop just because you say I surrender, especially when I don't see your hands. You know,
yeah.
so I want to make sure my brothers and sisters come back the same way they left.
That's right.
That's something I say to
That's
people all
right.
the time when it comes to like even personal home defense or defense out on the street. People be like, well, somebody comes at me with a bat or whatever. I don't want to pull out a gun. I was like, why? It's not a video game. It's not Street Fighter. You don't ever, when it comes to real life combat, you don't ever want it to be fairgrounds. Grounds. You want to have the advantage. If you can't have all of them at the same time, you at least want a few of them. You want to be better trained. Definitely, if you are a smaller number, but you want to be better trained. You want to have better equipment. You want to have more people. You always want the advantage when it comes to life and death. Like you just get one life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll cheat because guess what? I have no problem cheating because biting, gouging, biting off nose, ripping out this and that. Because in the end, I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. So if we keep that mentality, it's like, hey, you know what? You pulled a knife. I'm sorry that I pulled the gun, but you know what? I don't want to sit there and try to in a knife fight. So everyone's getting cut,
That's
and
right.
I'm too old to get cut. I can't accept a butt whooping. I'm just too old for that.
I,
The question from Mr. Royal Jules was that the area where the twin towers were blown up have since been reconstructed with thousands of people coming and going to and from work. How safe do y'all think the area is, even with military presence?
I think New York is taking a chance because they really don't allow their law-abiding citizens to be armed, even though the criminals are walking around with pea shooters. So for me, at this point, I don't trust. When I go out my house, I got to be prepared. I was talking to a police officer, back up here locally, and I said, man, you got all the stuff. You look just like I looked when I was overseas. But I knew in Afghanistan there was not an Afghan I could trust. Sorry, I don't care how much we know you and you're on the payroll. You never know when someone kidnapped your kid and all of a sudden you're shooting one of us. But it's like, but when you come back, it's like I was some said, I didn't think I would have to think and wish I was dressed like you when I got back. I go to the store now. What I do, I look where the aisle is, where the cutlery is. where's this chicken? Where's the kitchen stuff? Because if for
Mhm.
some reason I hear pop, 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 I'm gonna knock over those shelves. I'm gonna create a quick barricade. I'm gonna grab me some butcher knives, and guess what? When it comes my way, he better be a sushi chef because I'm throwing him some
Mhm.
knives. And because that's the way it is now. You can't even go to the movie theater and think about, wow, someone can come in while I'm sitting there watching TV and start shooting. What am I gonna do? Throw popcorn? Like, you know, and that's kind of where we're kind of stuck with all the unique people here, and everybody wants to be disarmed. I mean, I don't know why people are afraid of guns. The gun don't go off because it sits there. Oh, there's a gun on the table. I'm afraid. Well, the gun ain't going to get up and shoot you because the gun feel like it feel like killing someone today. It takes someone to pick it up and shoot you. So for me, being armed, again, I'd rather be geared up. I'd rather sit there and defend my wife and my kids and grandkids and me take the heat round than my son or my daughter or their mates or the grandkids. Because guess what? I'm old. I've had a good life. It's like, hey, if I go out tomorrow, I should have been dead back in 2004 in Iraq. I should have made it back, but I'm back. I'm still mobile. So if I go out tomorrow, going out for one of my kids or grandkids, guess what? You know what?
Mhm.
God can make his decision, but guess what? It was worth my life.
Yeah, I understand. The area, for me, the area is an unsafe area that the police need to constantly make a threat assessment for that particular area and a contingency plan uh, to employ their forces. Okay, they need to look at it and say this is an area that needs to continuously be reevaluated as far as threats, and that they should be ready to employ them. But I think it's an unsafe area in general, right? And that the police need to be prepared, constantly threat assessment, on a recurring basis, and a reaction plan.
Well, because I mean, in the military, we know that, especially the latest form of military, we do it. Everything's asymmetric warfare. Well, it's come home. Every place you go now is part of the asymmetric warfare in the states.
Mhm.
At any time, for any reason, you can hear pop, 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 and it may not be firecrackers. And
Yeah.
so, I'm not that I'm hypersensitive, but I understand. Because I used to do some other things that I assess everybody. I sit down with my back against the wall. I'm watching everybody's face in the restaurant and everybody's face coming in and out that
Yeah,
door.
yeah,
Because you never know.
yeah, that's true.
And if I got a guy next to me that's got a Confederate flag on, I hear some pop, pop. Guess what? I'm throwing at the pop, pop, pop.
Yeah, I
And
hear you.
that aside, but you got to be prepared. I can't get comfortable anymore in my country, and that's sad.
It's about survival. It's about survival and being ready. Yeah, yeah.
We have been
That's why
comfortable
the
for a
right to
long.
bear arms is necessary. Say again.
I was saying we as in the entire nation has been very comfortable for a long time, and even though I feel like it was a little bit temporarily, 9/11 was definitely at least a wake up call for a lot of people.
Well, especially for those who deployed, we come back, and there was this. I was coming back, and I was at a group with the VA, and this guy said he got back, and he stopped on the freeway, and because there was a box on the side of the road, and the cops came up and saw that he was a veteran, and said, "Okay, you just got back. I just got back." So they escorted him home because on the side of the road in Afghanistan or Iraq, yeah, that's a bomb on the side of the road.
Mhm.
Dogs, boxes, anything. So you come back with that mindset. It took me a while to stop driving 100 miles on the freeway because that's what we're doing, driving from, you know, Camp Slayer to Baghdad, because they had
Mhm.
Sniper Alley. We're driving 120 miles an hour, and so it took me a while to kind of cool my jets. Okay, we're back home with the thought that I know how to escape and evade if necessary. If things, I never park like right at a stoplight. I'm at least two car lengths behind the car in front of. In the event someone can start shooting at the other car, like I saw one time on the freeway, I can veer either side and get away from that nonsense. I'm not going to be boxed in where I'm just stuck as just a sightseer hoping that they run out of bullets.
No,
Right.
I'm just chuckling because well, obviously I was hit by ID, but never a vehicle borne ID, but still like me even now trash bag that's sticking up in the road box. I see a lot of people just go over it. If I can avoid it, I'm all the way in the other lane every time. And I'm sure nothing crazy is going to happen here, but still, at the same time, it's like I remember even one time it was some type of like smashed bird, but it was at night. For whatever reason, his foot was just sticking up perfectly. It was kind of what's the word, reflective, and I kind of jumped as I was driving because my brain said that's like aluminum or something like that sticking up. That's his we call it IED, and I was like, oh wow, I need to calm down. But yeah, I was chuckling because that's definitely me every time I see anything in the road when I'm driving.
Well, I was at the Warrior Transition Battalion in Germany, and we were getting ready because I went through the med board, got processed out, and the young lady who was old, she brought back on active duty to get at med board because they didn't at the time she was there, and she sat down with us. She goes, "Do you guys get nervous when you drive down the road like this and this?" And she said, "Or is it just me?" And we all sat there. We had someone from a colonel all the way down to an E5, and we all looked over and says, "No, we all go through that. We all go through it. We all think, for instance, hey." And you have to realize, okay, you're home, or it is something. Let me veer over because I may be home, but this is not a safe area. But we all struggle with that. There's no one who's been overseas that comes back and doesn't struggle with, for a moment, being there when you see something that reminds you of it.
That's right. Yeah, I constantly, you take into account a mental inventory of where you're at and what you're doing and what's happening in front of you. Constantly. Your
And
head's on the swivel.
I always have a pocket knife because my pocket knife will never run out of sharp. So, a gun will run out of bullets, but a knife will always be sharp. And and a knife can be very, very deadly in the right hands. And so, even though I have a pea shooter, I always have one or two knives on me because in the event, I'm not going to die begging for my life.
Yeah.
She said, I want to personally that all of you fellas, think personally all of you fellas for your service. God bless y'all. Thank you, Royal Jules. Definitely appreciate it.
Yeah.
And for all you young people out there, we have some positions we need to backfill. So raise your right hand.
All right.
Well, because I want the good ones. I want people who are willing to serve. I don't want someone who gets drafted who's like, oh, I got to serve. I want someone who got, choose your profession. Let's get you trained up. Let's make sure that, if someone has to die today, let it be them. And let's get this over with. And I just, now that I guess in December, they had the largest recruiting in the Army in 10, 15 years.
All right.
Because, now that we have someone who's sleeping to switches out of office and someone who's like, hey, they're going to actually invest in us. There's some things that, in the Marine Corps and the Army, there's a certain standard of where you're supposed to do business that, we need people who are snake eaters. We don't need people who are worm eaters. We don't need people who are afraid of butterflies. We need people who will go after the snake.
Right. The object is to make the other person die for what he or she believes in. You don't necessarily have to die for what you believe in. I tell everybody all the time.
I'm helping them get there too.
I tell people all the time that up in Chicago, there's a number of different shootings almost every day. Young kids, and women, and men, and I have empathy for them. I never want to be at the point where I don't feel empathy for those individuals hurt, shot, and killed. But by the same time, I still have the capacity to defend my family and my home with legal force, without a doubt. And then some. Still have that.
We find that people in Chicago are very upset over the illegal immigrants. Because they go, wait a minute, you're spending billions of dollars on these people, and you wouldn't give us enough money to buy a lollipop last year, but you're spending millions of dollars for people who aren't even from here, which tells you, okay, what is the agenda? Why are they doing this? And why are they willing to insult the very people? Because poor people don't vote typically.
Yeah, right.
New immigrants don't vote because they come from some place where they can't, not allowed to, but they're gonna vote based on who gives them because they're thankful. It's a matter of reciprocity. You help me, I help you. But if you
Mhm.
sit in certain communities, we'll say black communities in Chicago, they've been fighting crime since it was established with the Great Migration from the 40s and 50s coming up from the South.
Mhm.
It's like, how come no one's invested in them, but you're going to invest in a stranger who came here after breaking the law of the United States to come in? You're going to give him money, but not the person who's been here for a century or two. That says something too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the thing that I think a lot of people don't think about is you know, with some years, with some time, with some generations, others might care about this country as much as we do. And and I also tell people you can be upset with some things in this country, but still care about it. It's not one, it doesn't have to be one or the other. I don't have to be like, I hate America because of one thing. No, I don't. I was raised here. I've definitely seen some differences between here and other countries, but even before that, I still love my country. I wasn't pleased with everything, but still love my country. But people coming here just for better pay, just for because they hear about you'll get free money for 3 or 4 years, and you'll get paid more than half the people that this was born and raised here for that time period. They're not going to have the same care as much as you will, or as much as your neighbors will, because regardless of how people feel, nobody likes having their home invaded, and we just haven't, for lifetimes, haven't had to experience that. And I don't even know how much people really. I mean, of course, people living in different colonies and stuff like that did consider America their home at the time, but I mean, technically, we've not been invaded since the Revolutionary War.
Or the War of 1812. Yep.
Mhm.
And so for me, it's like going along with what you just said is that I look at all Americans under a certain, if you're poverty stricken in America for generations, America owes you something, and even if it's like, well, you guys are drugs or whatever the issue may be. Well, it's the drugs, it's like, what did the old say in the black community? We don't have planes to fly the stuff in here. So how's it getting here? It's
I
like
get you.
somebody's allowing this stuff to happen. Let's invest in every person, whether it be the poor European American who lives up in the mountains of North Carolina or Mississippi, to the same person who's living in the Hispanic communities in Los Angeles or Compton, African. Everyone
Mhm.
on a certain level, economic level, should be invested in, because if not, eventually, as you bring in new immigrants, legal or illegal, it doesn't. Where's the patch? Where's the porthole that they get out and actually participate in the community? You don't. You're leaving them behind. So then they get resentful. They get angry because they see all these people getting things that they never got. And why would they not? So it's like, America, take care of your own family before you start bringing and importing other people's family. Because I don't need new poor people in America. We got enough.
Yeah,
We
you
got
do.
enough poor people. Invest in them so we don't have poor people. Then you can bring in poor people.
Yeah.
I keep telling them, they keep saying, was it that people Americans don't want these jobs as the jobs Americans don't want? Well, pay me a wage, then I'll take the job.
Take the job. Right.
You gonna say something, Larry? I mean,
I was just gonna say, thing I like to always say, the analogy I always like to say is, uh, from being on the plane. They always say, secure. If we lose pressure, secure your oxygen mask before you secure the person next to you, because that means, because if you're trying to secure the person next to you first, and if you're losing air, about to black out and pass out, then that's two people that black out and pass out, because you can't help them because you couldn't help yourself. Help your people before you want to help everyone else. It doesn't mean that you're heartless, but it means that you have priorities.
Yeah.
I like that.
But,
Hmm. Interesting. And I think that's probably one thing that maybe as you run for office there, soon to be congressman, is that they need, and they're getting a lot more veterans in Congress now. who've seen and been overseas. I know another gentleman who's not a chairman, I forgot his name, who's an amputee. And he's in there, he's doing it because, like, you know what? You've paid the cost. You know what this place means and you were willing to. And for someone else, like, I don't mind if you're a doc, your attorney, or whatever you are, but the person who has sacrificed more than you, let's not talk them down because, you know, you went to Harvard and you got Harvard Law. Not that Harvard Law is bad. I'd love to have it, but
Mm-hmm.
don't think that the education you got in Afghanistan or Iraq or Djibouti or Panama isn't equal to that.
Yeah.
As a submariner, for how many years, like, I mean, to me,
22.
how far in the water were you at any one point? 5-6 miles underneath the ocean?
Yeah. Certain places, yeah, without a doubt. Without a
And
doubt.
so, and you start looking at that as who would volunteer someone volunteered to live their life, and possibly, because if you had emergency down there, you ain't coming up. And it's like, you know what? And for them to do that, how much do you owe him or her? I love, hey, thank you for your service, but I want more than that. Give me a
Yeah.
house, give me a safe community, give me someplace where I can. Well, because I was stationed there in DC for a little while, and you could see, people's wives walking at midnight, walking down the street. She ain't worried about getting nothing happening. She says, help, yells, get everybody to come out their windows and doors and
Mhm.
whatnot. How come we can't have that in America? How come we can't for the rest of the community?
All over. Right. Right. That's true.
And if we did, how much crime would we have? How many people we have? I guess we have the largest number of people incarcerated in the world. Would we
In the
really
world.
have that would we have that if we gave everybody a real shot? I don't know.
No, no, we wouldn't.
Cool. We got about 4 minutes left. I'm not sure what I can think of to pick y'all brain on. 4 minutes. I was originally going to do today as a hour live, but hey, we're making it to the 2 hours, so that's a plus.
Well, I
The
appreciate you giving me an opportunity to chat with you and just kind of, sit down with someone who has a little bit more seasoned than me, so I can get schooled a little bit. And you know, and just well, the thing is that you start realizing that regardless of when that veteran gets that, especially for someone who's made it part of their life, they carry that to them way beyond their service time, and they
Mhm.
they carry themselves a certain way. They talk a certain way. They see the bigger picture a certain way. They see the smaller picture a certain way. And it's nice to have you and your father there to be able to kind of chat and kind of see. There's really, outside of you have more hair than your dad. The generation things. You know,
Yeah.
there's a certain fruit don't fall far from the tree, and there's a certain amount of love of country, love of service, and we need to grow. We need to grow more of that.
Yeah. I really appreciate my time here. It's been great talking to you and learning from you also. I appreciate that. And I'll take the words that you said to heart. Like you say, I think the apple doesn't fall that far from the tree. And both our families see and show that. And I'm grateful and proud of both our sons.
Well, I'm gonna
Uh,
be sending you to invitation to be part of this quote unquote union until we can make it so, because
okay.
we need someone who could sit down. I mean, I'm gonna put you in front of Congress. You could tell stories, and guess what?
Oh, they
You're
did
not
that.
embellishing, but this time fighting for other veterans what I've learned is that a lot of veterans are afraid to speak. They don't have the confidence. A lot of the E3s, E4s, E5s, E6s who
oh wow,
didn't come from the Marine Corps, who didn't come
Mm,
from the Army, and who just kind of went through like some other branches of the service who didn't get that
mhm.
leadership, who are afraid to be stand up because they're worried about, because they don't know and they're afraid.
Right. The thing, individuals, uh, when I got the opportunity to talk before Senate Armed Service Committee on wounded warriors, before I talked to them, I talked to this young lieutenant who was with the group, and I made sure that I emphasized the fact that everything that the wounded warriors needed, they should get all the proposals, because these individuals control the money, they control the purse strings, and they were asking about how the treatment was at Bethesda. Walter Reed Bethesda now. But and so I talked to them and I told them that they deserve everything that's proposed on their budget and then some, and just for not only the Wounded Warriors this war, but reaching back for Afghanistan, Iraq and Vietnam, all the Wounded Warriors, from the past, that the money they're asking for, they needed that money. They needed, more so, needed some extra, And
Well, you'll get an invitation soon to be a senior member of this thing. Well, and the reason why I say that is that because it takes someone as sophisticated as you, not that I'm not, but someone who can sit there and be able to gain the respect of a congressman. Not that I can't, but you carry yourself in such a way that you can't help but disarm someone who is hostile towards maybe veterans, because some in Congress are.
Yeah. What I've seen, you're right. I've seen this. Yeah, you're right. Some of those guys. Yeah.
Well, sir, are we wrapping this up, or you want to go on a new topic, or what do you want to do?
That was pretty much it for me. I mean, you two definitely gave us a lot more than I thought we would even get to tonight. I definitely appreciate both y'all. Dad,
Well, anytime you want to chat, I'm always available, because reaching out to veterans and talking to the veterans, whether next time we talk about how to get your paperwork into the VA, how to deal with community care, how to deal with VRE, whatever you want to talk about, I'm game. Whether just whatever we need, because I see a whole community of us as part of a team. Now we're individuals, and you get kind of lost sometimes in an individual when you're used to being on a team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Definitely.
I'm game. Just let me know, and I'm here for you. And you two pops, I got you.
I'll be looking forward to that.
Definitely, because I can see you being someone that I don't necessarily want to lead, but I have no problem following, and I don't mind engaging in verbal judo if I need to, because the end is winning the game and winning it for the veteran. And I see a lot of people in the VA who aren't really supporting us the way we need to be supported.
Yeah.
I think that'll be
All
good.
right,
All right.
I'm gonna bounce out. Y'all have a good one, and peace in the Middle East with Afro Greece. I always say that,
All right.
because those curls get too tight, and if you put some Afro Grease on it, loosen that stuff up. All right, guys, have a good one now.
God bless.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Boy. All right, y'all. Thanks, Dad. I appreciate it.
I thought I was just gonna come in and say hi, man.
No,
I'm his dad.
I appreciate everybody for coming in and joining us tonight. And you got to hear two other people run their mouths beside myself, or Andre sometimes. Yeah, like I always say, just keep on doing what you do. Even though I don't say the same thing every time, because I forget my own line that I wrote down. And I don't feel like looking at it. But work on your businesses and keep on getting stronger. Always watch your surroundings and like and subscribe. I appreciate it, y'all. Y'all have a good night.